Right stand, I'm Anand Narsimhan coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studios. First up, ladies and gentlemen, according to the provisional payroll data released by the Labour Ministry, the Employment Provident Fund Organisation or the EPFO net added 1.89 million members just in the month of April, an increase of 31.29% from the previous month. And the data showed that 887,000 new members, including 249,000 women, joining the EPFO during the month. A report by Motilal Oswal, meanwhile, Financial Services, they have highlighted that India's jewellery retail sector has surged to $80 billion, that is rupees 6,66,480 crore in the financial year 2024 from $50 billion in 2018. The report also highlights that rising disposable income and improving mix for regular wear of jewellery enhanced product offerings led to rapid growth in the industry. Meanwhile, Tajikistan is set to implement a ban on hijab and other Islamic garments. Apart from the hijab, the bill also cites or aims to ban, and it has gone ahead and banned, this has been ratified by both houses in Tajikistan Parliament, children's celebrations during Muslim festivals, and the bill passed by the upper house prohibits children's festivities during Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. The bill initially passed by the lower chamber aims to curb the wearing of what it terms alien garments. The focus is that they are encouraging people to wear Tajik clothing, Tajik culture, and go back to those roots and embrace that. There is a lot of angst because of that, especially in Afghanistan with some of the fundamentalist groups even openly declaring jihad against Tajikistan. But Tajik people have decided they want to hold on to their culture and they want to ban anything that they claim are alien to their culture. Let's get back to the issue on hand, ladies and gentlemen. The NEET exam and the UGC NET exam, both of them have exposed perhaps what is an underlying problem in the testing system in our country. But there are other testing formats which are far more robust. So can there be learnings? And how are we going to secure this batch of 24 lakh NEET and 13 lakh UGC NET students in the course of the next 30 to 45 days before we get into the counselling and some of the other stages, because after which it will be too late? Can something be done, and how best can a robust foolproof testing mechanism be put in place? That's the thought process, and that's the endeavour on this edition of The Right Stand.
सरकार विश्वास जन्माना चाहती है कि हम कोई भी गड़बड़ी को टॉलरेट नहीं करेंगे।
राहुल जी ने यही तो कहा, 3 बड़े मुख्य केंद्र हैं घोटाले के, शिक्षा घोटाले के, उत्तर प्रदेश, मध्य प्रदेश और गुजरात, तीनों बीजेपी शासित राज्य हैं।
राज्य में सरकार उनकी, केंद्र में सरकार उनकी, जांच एजेंसियां उनकी। हम ही कहते हैं मुख्यमंत्री जी को बुला ले मेरे साइड को, अरे चाहे पीए हो, पीएस हो, कोई हो, बुला करके पूछताछ कर ले।
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a serious matter, and we hope there is something constructive that comes out of the minds that are joining us this evening. A lot of aspiring students' dreams came crashing down when NEET and the UGC NET exams were exposed and the scams within. Their hearts broken, their hopes shattered, and faith in testing agency only diminishing. The futures of lakhs of students, 3.7 million students, both exams put together, is at stake. Now, while a retest for over 1,500 students who received grace marks will be conducted on the 23rd, nearly 9 lakh candidates who appeared for the UGC NET exam are still clueless of what happens next. The National Testing Agency, which is in charge of conducting competitive entrance tests, is under the scanner. It's functioning. Its entire model itself is being questioned. And the Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan has ensured action. A high-powered committee will sit and there will be a thorough cleanup. But setting politics aside, let's try and understand what next for students. How do we secure the careers and the lives of the future of Bharat? Is there a possible solution to ensure that there are leak-proof exams? Charu Pragya, National Spokesperson of the BJP with us. Ghanshyam Tiwari, Spokesperson of Samajwadi Party with us. He should be joining us. He's an educationist himself. Mohandas Pai, TV Mohandas Pai is with us. Chairman RN Capital, again an educationist. Professor Badri Narayan, social scientist with us. And we also have Vivek Thakur, who joins us again. He's the founder of Scholars Den. Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Mohandas Pai ji, how can we solve this? Because in our country, for many decades, there are leak-proof exams which have not been associated with paper leaks. CAT comes to mind, UPSC exams come to mind. How can we set this process of NEET and UGC NET right?
Well, first we have to solve the issue. As far as NEET is concerned, all those people who got grace mark, they must have a re-exam. I think it's already happened. They must use data analytics to find out in which center the marks and the passes have been more than any prior period or more than normal, and identify those areas. Maybe for those places, they must have a re-exam. They must carry on the counselling, because Supreme Court has not stopped the counselling. We can't stop the career. Hold a retest for all these people. In the meantime, under strict supervision, to make sure they complete this and make sure that the admission process goes on. Because they have found, they said that certain papers have been leaked in the dark web and are available on Telegram. That means they know who has done that. They must trace it and arrest all those people immediately to restore public confidence. By this, I think about 98-99% of right things to be done. And now, as far as the other examination, I think they call it off. So they have to have a re-exam as early as possible and apologize to the people. Because, the problem in this country is very large number of students sit for exams for which we don't have enough seats in very many colleges. We must expand capacity. The Kakotar Committee for IITs has said we need 100 institutions like IIT for high quality engineering in the public sector and 100 in the private sector separately we need, so that more students have more choices. So I think it's a mess. They must investigate, and as far as foolproofing it, they must sit down and work out a technology solution which will make sure so that the final question paper is not known to people till a limited period before the exams actually happen. They must use technology for this purpose. I think it can be done, and it must be done in a manner which is very, very secure, and it must be done in a manner where there is proper oversight and proper understanding of what is happening by using the latest technology, and I'm sure they can do it. But like you said, we held a competitive exam for a large number of years. So this obviously shows the criminal element. Deliberately, some insiders have got in, and criminal elements have been allowed to come. And that's why background checks with people, little bit of more surveillance on the people who are involved in very critical functions have to be done. Please remember, among corporates, a certain class of people cannot trade in shares in a quiet period. So they've done something there. Here, we must make sure that things are restricted. Remember, in the union budget, the people who make the budget and policy are logged in, right? Yeah. After the advice session. Right? We will do something like this to make sure that we can prevent all this. I think more care to be taken. They were probably complacent.
See, because, they say you can't clap with one hand. So on the if there are corrupt officials and if there are corrupt centers, coaching centers, etc., who have taken money or who have said that we will make this available, and there is a network there, there is a slew of parents who have agreed to pay and cough up lakhs of money to ensure that their children have an unfair advantage over other children who have worked hard and to secure. And there are parents who are willing to pay lakhs and lakhs of money just for their kids. So that's also reflective of how society is willing to corrupt a system rather than correct their own wards. So that's a larger aspect. But how do I make sure that the entire examining process, testing process itself is a deterrent to corruption and to graft, Mohandas Pai? That's the answer that we need to first get, because a high-powered committee has been announced yesterday. When will it be formed?
But we must solve this issue first and carry on the counselling and not make the students suffer. That's the first priority. Remedying it and punishing others can take time. But we must solve this by giving a retest, removing all the elements who got an unfair advantage, to show people that we are not going to
correct, but you cannot. How do I conduct the counselling till I'm sure about the marks? If I start with the counselling process, then they'll say this year counselling has happened, let's look at it next year.
No. They can leave counselling and put it into database and do not announce what has happened. So all that thing is there. They can take some time to release it later. It has to be done simultaneously. I understand what he's saying. It's difficult because you can counsel, ask the student for the choice, make some tentative allotment, and it will be a marginal change. Because remember, you see, there are some 24 lakh students, right?
Yeah.
There may be 23 lakh, 4 lakh, 5 lakh seats. I don't know how many seats. There are 1,500 students who got those grace marks. There may be another 1,000, 2,000 more. I don't think the corruption has happened on a mass scale.
See, what I'm saying is, let's say, let's take a whatever number, be it 40,000 or 4 lakh. Out of these 24 lakh, if there is clearly with an electronic system, and let me get Vivek Thakur in also and just open this up and everybody please join in. Vivek, if there are, say, about 10, 15 centers where there is ajibaji, if there are say 40,000 to about say 4 lakh, whatever is the number, you will have an exact number where you know that either with the level of grace marks or proxy, examinees and paper leaks, there will be a set number. Can that not be identified? Can counselling not be delayed by about 10-15 days?
No.
And do the entire process of this retest for all this number? Come clean with the numbers. Sometimes honesty pays. What do you suggest? How can we do this?
See, the basic principle of justice that is there in our constitution, it says that even if 10 guilty people are roaming free, the people who are innocent should not be punished. And in this case, there are thousands of students who are innocent. They didn't know of this, all the nexus and all this mafia who are playing this wrong game, and people in power and people having a lot of money trying to get their kids inside through a window, through a back door, through a jugaad into the system and getting them become doctors, MBBS from government colleges. Now the solution lies here that during COVID time, why NTA is playing this game time and again, why there is a systematic way of doing an eyewash of the government as well as the public in general by NTA. Just take the case of COVID time. The exam which was scheduled, NEET exam was scheduled for May, it actually happened in September and there was no chaos even after 6 months delay. Correct. And they are every time playing this logic and going to Supreme Court and everywhere, even to the government, and saying, see, if the counselling gets delayed, the entire academic calendar will be affected, so and blah blah. It is actually an eyewash. Just take the example of COVID. The exams were delayed 6 months. You are telling about counselling, the exams were delayed 6 months. And everything became normal in 2 sessions. Yeah. You are ready to do so much of injustice because of nothing. I mean, it's meaningless. You are saying this, if we are delayed by 15 days, something will happen. Nothing happened during COVID.
You know, Charu Pragya is there with us and Badri Narayan there with us. Charuji, I was talking to Vivek, beg your pardon, just before we went on air. He said something very interesting. Yeah. He said that the politicians, be it opposition or government, be it in Bihar and the center and all, are waking up now. They are waking up after the 14th, 15th of June. But he's saying he had evidence that NEET, there was some ajibaji as early as the 4th of May. 5th of May was the exam?
5th of May, yes.
5th was the
Telegram video, yes.
5th was the exam? You have some...
Yes, I have the video.
You have... So he's saying that he has evidence that in Bihar there were claims that this... Yeah, please explain it to our viewers.
Yeah, similar to the UGC NET case, that the government said that since the paper was leaked on Telegram. So what I am claiming is that I am not sure whether it is authentic or not. It is for the government to investigate. This video is with thousands of students. It's with me, wherein on a Telegram channel, the person is claiming that, see, this is the NEET paper and the chat is dated 4th of May. I'm saying I'm not taking the authenticity because the government has forensic experts, the government has cyber experts to get it verified. So on the similar ground that UGC NET was cancelled, the similar ground is there also. And that person was claiming, see, only my students will top in exam this year NEET and I have the paper of NEET, and you'll see, his claim was that you see this year the cutoff will go really high and it will go as far as 650, which has never happened in history, and it actually became 650. So these things are there with the students. Why not investigate it thoroughly rather than giving a clean sheet to NTA without investigation that unfortunately our respected education minister did. He gave clean sheet to NTA without any investigation, without any thorough investigation.
Yeah, the clean sheet was given 4 days before what happened last evening. Yesterday, NTA officials have been pulled up and everybody is under scrutiny now. But this is what it is. 4th of May, this has done the rounds, but nothing was done to flag it off. We are now sitting on the 21st of June.
Anandji, just 1 minute, I would like to add, even the this confession of Anurag Yadav, which is doing rounds on social media and news channels since yesterday, the confession letter is dated 5th of May. The FIR is dated 5th of May. Where were all these people, Rahul Gandhi and Vijay Sinha, and all these people were sleeping? since 5th May, 45 days has passed. Nobody woke up.
Yeah, Charu Pragya. So this Anurag Yadav testimony is saying the letter
I
is dated
please come
5th
in
of
now?
May. Hanji, please. Thank you for your patience. Go ahead, please.
No problem. Anand, good evening, and let me begin by first thanking you for taking a problem-solving approach to this entire problem. And really nobody has done that, and this is not a time for political mudslinging. Let's go back to why the cutoff has become higher this year, why the syllabus has been changed for NEET. If we look at the last couple of years, every time we have discussed NEET, unfortunately, the discussion has been around student suicides, because NEET was an exam which was considered very difficult, quite impossible to crack in most cases without help from coaching centers. Coaching centers have run some kind of a nexus. They are the ones who can claim that my students are going to get, XYZ marks, or they are going to make the cut, so on and so forth. Now, this is exactly why the Government of India decided to change the syllabus of NEET. This is why Government of India said that NEET syllabus is now going to be the syllabus of 10th standard, 12th standard. So everybody starts from the same platform and everybody can be given similar opportunities. Yes, 33 lakh approximately students are contesting for 1 lakh seats in our country, but let's also not forget that these 1 lakh seats have also been created under Modi government. We have made 350 new medical colleges. There has been an addition of 390 universities. So what was happening before this era? That is problematic. Yes, we need a lot more seats, whether it is for engineering, whether it is for medicine, whether it is for any other technical courses. But can we do it overnight? I don't think so. Let's now also understand another thing that has been going on. Nexus exists, we've already established that. But I have never seen before a government taking complete responsibility and onus for something going wrong within their own system, within their own department. In fact, our government has ordered a CBI probe into the UGC NET exam which has been cancelled. They have said that whoever is the culprit, they will be identified and heads will roll, because we take the future of our students very, very seriously. Anybody who heard the press conference of Dharmendra Pradhan ji, our Honorable Education Minister, yesterday would have seen how patiently he has answered every single question from every journalist and reporter who was present there. There was no behavior that the opposition is known to do and call those who are asking negative questions as agents of another political party. That's important. Now, here again links have been found. Preetam Yadav is linked to Tejasvi Yadav, who belatedly now is saying, oh, investigate, do what you want. But are they actually allowing it to happen? Today, Rahul Gandhi is happy to meet these students, but is he meeting students, or is he creating more trouble when enough trouble exists already? Can we go back to the time of Congress in Rajasthan, when under the Gehlot government 14 paper leaks had happened, and Sachin Pilot actually had to protest against his own government against these paper leaks? I didn't see Congress saying anything then. Most recently, because the new government of Congress is in Telangana, the TPSC paper leak happened. Who discussed the TPSC paper leak? Please tell me that. Today, to politicize an issue, you are speaking everywhere. But where were you when all of this was happening? See, we were not being political then, we are not being political now, and we've in fact passed a law in just February this year, which is going to come into force very shortly. And this law is going to go a long way in ensuring all these leaks are plugged, in ensuring what you have been discussing, that can we ensure an examination process that is smooth? Can we make sure that this kind of a nexus doesn't exist? Can we make sure paper leak just does not happen?
No, you've made a lot of points. In some of the cases, yes, credit must be given where it is due, where the minister was very open, forthcoming when he spoke yesterday. But 4 days ago, his tone and tenor was very different. And a lot of people are asking that this has been. I
know even one center going wrong is one center too much, but I also want to give a perspective on the numbers. 4,550 centers is where the examination took place. There were incidents in some of them, 8 to be exact. Does that mean that the students at all the other centers need to write the exam again, prepare again? You know, it's this very arbitrary kind of a discussion saying, let's get done with this exam.
Here is the issue, Charlie.
Now, those kind of things the Supreme Court is going to decide.
Correct, but that's my concern, ma'am. That's where the concern arises, that rather than waiting for the courts to come back and cancel appointments, cancel counselling, cancel the entire exam process and ask for an entire process which is going to derail and delay everything into September, October, November, maybe even December, and that puts so many things in limbo. If the government is getting proactive, let it get proactive and at a certain alacrity where it says, and that's a suggestion, where it says, I delay the counselling by 15 days.
Can I be
in the next 10 days, we'll get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And if there is an error margin of even 10%, if there is an error margin of 10%, then the entire people, lot of 24 lakh people should get to write the exam again. If the error margin is within 5% or less than 10%, whatever the number, let's declare the number, identify the centers, and all those who had that center and that ID card, we will conduct the tests again so that there is fair and square. If 67 people have got 720, we should give them the option of writing that again to prove that they are actually meritorious and there is no ajibaji. That's also another suggestion. Vikas, Vivek, and then Ghanshyam Tiwari is with us. Charuji, you will respond.
Can I
Please,
just quickly add something?
please
Charuji,
respond
1
after
minute,
Vivek.
1 minute.
Please respond after Vivek.
I'll be
Charuji,
very quick.
with due respect to you being a spokesperson of the ruling party, I would say that I am a teacher. It's my duty to show path to students as well as to society, and if required, even to the government. I am just doing my duty. You should not point fingers to the people who are pointing fingers at the government, who are actually trying to help the government to correct the system, and we are there to help you in every technical issue. Please do not point fingers at us that we are from coaching centers, we have nexus. We are the people who actually brought it to the light. The day the result was declared on 4th June, the whole country, all media, everyone was busy with the government results, and we are shouting since then. It's only for last 4 or 5 days that the political dispensation has come into the picture. Number one. Number two, regarding the 6-7 centers you are saying, do you know that these 6-7 centers like Jhajjar in Haryana, Patna, Godhra, these cases were not declared, the data was not declared by the NTA. It is we people and the students who found out through the NTA information given in the press releases and the result, we found out the similarities. We did a lot of data analysis. Nothing was released by NTA. So that's why, to make things clear, it's not like 6-7 centers are there problematic. You should release actually the data of all centers. I am not saying that you release a name and the numbers. You just show the distribution of all the centers in the country, number one. Number two, you release the data in public regarding the board marks and the NEET marks of the students for last 3 years. You will very clearly, there are so many high level data scientists, and Mohandas Pai sir is with us. He knows that we are technological superpower. We have so many data scientists who will analyze in 24 hours and give it to you that there is no correlation 2024. In respect to the board exam marks and NEET marks this year, there is a huge gap. Students scoring 35%, 40% in board marks are suddenly scoring 700, which was not there in 2023, 2022. You put the entire data in public domain to clear the doubts. So why are you trying to save yourself?
Because there are cases where people have changed their exam centers, exam centers from Delhi to Jhajjar. People have flown from Karnataka to Jhajjar and to Godhra to write exams. So clearly there are anomalies which are there. Yes, Mohandas Pai and then Badri Narayan and Charu Pragya. Yeah, coming to you. Everybody, yeah.
Let us discuss solutions and how to make sure students are not hurt. Like the professor said, I think it's very important. Data analytics can find out cases and centers where there are anomalies. They can dig in deeply in 24 hours, 48 hours and ask them for a re-exam. Because, like he said, there has to be a correlation between class 12 and the marks they get here. If there's a wide variance, obvious that something is wrong, and they cannot be given, they cannot be given any lenience. So I think it should be done. Let's not discuss politics here. I mean, I understand the lady is, is coming from political party, but we should not degenerate into political debate. The debate today is how do you make sure students get justice? The future is not spoiled. How do you make sure that the people who committed this fraud get punished? How do you make sure nobody gets an unfair advantage?
Correct.
Now the solution is very clear, like the professor said, do data analytics, find out those centers and ask them to take a retest. That I think we should do. The great mass of people have not done any herapari. It's happened in a few places, and that places can be located. Those people there have to be investigated and punished. And those students have to take everything. It has been as fast as possible, and confidence has to be restored. Whether some political party talks about it, they play politics, let us keep it aside for now, because for us, 24 lakh students' future has to be secured. We must not spoil their dreams. We must not hurt them. That is the focus that has to be
No,
for the country.
see, along with the 24 lakh students, you need to have a robust system in place where anybody and everybody
next time. That'll be the next time.
can trust this system to ensure that it is foolproof. Badri Narayan
So that
ji,
we got time.
yeah, Badri Narayan ji, then I'll come back to Charu Pragya and Ghanshyam Tiwari. Yeah.
Anand, thank you
Thank you for your
inviting
patience.
me. Thank you for inviting me in this discussion. Actually, every problem has a social context, and you have already raised that point very efficiently. That how the nexus of the corruptions, the greed, the aspirations, illegal kind of aspirations works and try to enter in every kind of foolproof system like NTA. No, NTA came to counter all the paper leak which were happening in various states. But here also they have entered, and that's a very question of very. It's a situation in which we have to respond. And there is another point: if any justice should not come to create injustice for others. So there should be a balance. So if we are going to do that justice for someone, it should not be injustice for others. So government has to be very cautious and see the entire fact and the processes and then take decisions. There are two ways. One is immediate solution of the problem, and other is a long-term solution of the problem. For the immediate solution of the problem, you have already seen today that HRD Minister, Education Minister Dhananjay Pradhan ji has called the ADG of the Bihar Economic Offense Unit, Hasnain, and tomorrow, I think on 25th, there is a meeting, and he is going to see each and every document which they have retrieved, and then the government will take a decision. Yes, there is a news today. And there is also a very, I think, he told yesterday his press conference, he told through his heart and with a plan, not only heart, with a plan, that we are going to evaluate entire entry system, and the high power committee is going to work for that, for a long-term solution. To make a foolproof system for public examination.
Yeah.
Already we have a Public Examination Act, and we have to give a strong punishment to these people who are, and I think Public Examination Act. Here is my hope on that.
Here is my concern, sir. This high-powered committee has to work on a clock. It cannot work at its pace. It has to work at the pace of the students' careers and the timelines with respect to counselling, placement, and the course, beginning of the courses at the medical colleges along with the admission process. That's why that there has to be a certain alacrity. What Mr. Pradhan, and it is very, very appreciable of the Education Minister, what he did yesterday, but what he did yesterday should have been done on the 16th. And already 4 days have been lost in course correction. That's my point, sir. That's where many others are saying not 4 days, more than a month has been lost because ye aaji-baaji pehle se chal raha tha. And the complaints against the NTA is not this year in 2024. It's been going on since 2020. Post-COVID, there have been issues with the NTA. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vivek Thakur.
Every year there is litigation regarding NTA in Supreme Court.
Yes.
I want to say one thing.
Ghanshyam Tiwari coming to you after this.
Yeah. One thing I would like to tell, the question raised by you to Charu, and Charu can respond, that Education Minister, before 4 days, he was talking differently. I remember from the very first day he told, let the Pukta proof come. We are going to take action. And I think he is now at the level where he is going to take action. Various kinds of
Badriji,
he has started taking action.
Like I said, sir, we are not holding the only brief that we are holding is for a robust examination system so that our children go into a foolproof center where parents who want to pay through their way and try and get a backdoor entry for their kids are dissuaded. It's merit that talks, hard work that produces the results. And let there be a fair and square. So no matter how much anybody scores, there are no doubts raised. When teachers themselves are saying, "Tumhare paas itne number kaise aa sakte hain?" It's impossible. There are teachers from coaching theories who are saying, "It is impossible for you to get these numbers." So that means there is something wrong. It is impossible for this score to even come because mathematically it is not possible in the entire scoring system of NEET. Obviously, some bells should ring. The day on 16th, and I keep saying, when Mr. Pradhan said that at that time, the Economic Offences Unit in Bihar had already found the leak, and they had said that the NTA is actually stonewalling responses. It is not responding to queries raised by the Economic Offences Unit of Bihar. That's why I'm saying, the politics of it aside, the entire construct of it and how it's being conducted is a problem. And Ghanshyam Tiwari, thank you for your patience. You joined us a little late, but yes, as an educationist, is there a method? And what we're trying to look at is who's at fault, who's not at fault is one aspect. How can we put together a system which is incorruptible? Is it possible to have a testing mechanism for 24 lakh or plus aspirants across more than 4,000 centers, which is foolproof?
Good evening, Anand, to you, the viewers and fellow co-panelists. 35 lakh students are affected between NEET and
NEET and
UGC.
yeah. Correct.
Let us not give, this panel cannot give an award to Dharmendra Pradhan, the education minister. The kind of award this panel wants to give does not belong in this scenario. There's a crisis. This government has not stood up with the students. On day one when the NEET exam happened, the students complained that there's a leak. They complained from Patna. Investigation started. How did this government react after the leak? Stop giving awards and look at the newspaper. Mr. Pradhan was made in charge of Haryana elections in the middle of this time frame. Has any student stood up and asked any question to Mr. Pradhan? Have you seen him answering questions to students? Has he taken responsibility?
Yeah, he did yesterday. He took responsibility yesterday. But he didn't do it before. He didn't do it before.
I did not interrupt anybody.
Yeah.
If Mr. Mohandas Pai, Mr. Badri Narayan wants to give him an award, please give him an award. But 24 lakh students of the country don't want to give him an award.
Nobody is giving. Okay, one minute.
And this education.
One minute. Let him speak. Let him speak. I just want to say that nobody is giving anybody any awards or accolades here. Yeah. Yes.
Of continuous cheerleading of the education minister who is inept, who has shown no leadership, whose government is at fault, whose prime minister goes and does a media event called Pariksha Pe Charcha, but does not have a courage to speak to students and does not even admit when the students are complaining. There are simple methods that are available from data analytics to the way the exam can be conducted. There is no way 85,000 students can score above 650 marks in this exam. That is obvious. But this government has no solutions. It has not asked a solution.
Okay, let me ask you this.
For 10 years, allow me to one final point.
Okay.
Mr. Mohandas Pai for 10 years, 20 years.
Tell me what can be done. Kanchap Tiwari, I want to understand what can be done.
For 10 years or 20 years, Mr. Mohandas Pai on all kinds of issues can bat for this government. Okay, but has this government asked any suggestion from him? Has it asked any suggestion from you, Anand? No.
So no. That's not the talking point right now. I want to ask from you because you are an educationist like Vivek Thakur, irrespective of what your political thought process is. So I want to understand what can be done. Yeah.
Is the government listening? Is the government listening to Vivek Thakur? Is government listening to Badri Narayan?
No, I am asking you, Ghanshyam Tiwari, what can be done? Tell me what should be done. How can we have is it possible to have a robust exam testing system? What can be done? Should NEET come directly under government control rather than it being an independent agency? How do we do that? Is it possible?
There are three simple things. It's not about making NTA an scapegoat. There are three simple things that this government can do. Right now, use data analytics to find out anomalies between the scores that students scored and their past performances. And if there is variance, at least for the students who have scored above 500 marks, you can have an exam that proves that variance is legitimate or not. That's a very simple thing. This government, if they applied mind, they would have done it. But they did not apply mind. Second, there is no way on earth that an exam like this can be conducted for 24 lakh students. You have to break the exam in multiple parts. There is no way you expect 24 lakh students across 5,000 centers, 4,500 centers to show up in an appointed hour and nothing will go wrong.
So you are saying there has to be multiple sets of papers and it has to be done in batches, just like in terms of phases.
You have to break it in an exam where roughly 12 lakh students score below 150 marks. And 80,000 students score at 98, 99 percentile. There is a fundamental difference in the nature of student. You have had this formula with the JEE exam. It is easily applicable. In the day of AI, you can go from grading to score rather than score to score. There are models, but let me tell you, Anand.
And the third point? No, the third point, you made a third point. What's the third point?
Yes. The third point is that when you have a center level leak, when you have a center level leak, you have to apply the same framework that you see in one pattern. This is just a case of pattern matching.
Correct.
You look at the centers that have these irregular patterns and you match it to centers that other centers, what Mr. Thakur is saying.
And then identify which are the centers where there are anomalies and then isolate those centers and then look at the students there and what's happening there. to make correct. Fantastic suggestions. Why has this not been done is a question that is a valid question. Charu Pragya, I have to wind up, but quickly I'll give you 30 seconds. Yes, please.
So at least Ghansham came back to solutions at the end of the debate. But before that, you know, this attack which is coming towards the government, I again say it is unfair, because what Dharmendra Pradhan ji said was said in absolute good faith. And after that, he has taken complete responsibility. Tell me, Ghansham, when has your government ever taken any responsibility?
Let's steer clear of that today, please. I'm just very humbly. I'm humbly. I know. There is a dharma and a response.
I'm coming back to more data. And Anand,
as political spokespersons that you have to have, but I'm requesting both of you to please steer clear of that today.
Now there is a lot of conversation around grace marks. There is a lot of conversation around grace marks, and that is why the final score of students is being questioned. I have 3 quick points here. One, the grace marks have been given according to a CLAT judgment in 2018-2019. It was not arbitrary. That's the first thing. The second thing is, many people are saying cancel the NEET exam, but then equal number of students will also say do not cancel the NEET exam, and it's a difficult road to walk for any government. Let's be fair there. So it's better we wait for the Supreme Court to help us decide which is the better path to take. That's the second thing. And
yeah, please, third point, and I'll complete after that. Yeah, third point.
Yes, and here the third point is that whatever situation everybody is saying that this comparison of marks between different exams, Anand, I want to say something which could be construed in a wrong way also by many people, but let me honestly tell you this. There are many smart students, there are many smart youngsters in this country who choose to study for one exam and choose not to put in so much effort for another. It's happened many times. There are students who've cracked IIT but have gotten terrible marks in their 12th board exams. So we have to find a way which is fair, because you cannot pressurize one student to get the same number of marks in every single exam.
Okay.
And I'm saying it like a mother.
No, I understand. 3, 4, 3, one of the points. The fact is that when this grace marking was supposed to be done, the NTA was not upfront with it. Before the declaration of the results, they should have announced and they should have put out a list saying what is the pattern of grace marking that they have done, what is the number of students or percentage of students who have come under the ambit of grace marking, and which centers are affected. The NTA never came clean about it. It never did. And it should have done it before the announcement of the results. That's the first point. Secondly, in terms of centers and marking these centers, the NTA till date has not come out with the exact number of centers. It's based on the cases, and it's based on coaching and teachers and coaching centers at different places who have drawn out the anomalies, and we have come to 8 centers. It could be 80 centers also, we do not know, because the NTA still has not been transparent with the data. That's where the concern is. Government has taken responsibility, that's welcome, but this should have been done much earlier. We are actually 30 days behind schedule. That's what many are saying. 40 days behind schedule, because result came on the 4th. The anomaly had been highlighted on the 4th of May itself. We are on the 21st of June. So that's where the concern is. We've got to move faster on this if we are going to be progressively working towards a better system. I have to wind up. I thank you all for keeping this very, very civil. Some of the aspects that stood out: immediate data analytics, isolating the error centers which stand out compared to some of the others, and then bringing down the number of students who could have come under the ambit, and decide immediately what needs to be done with them. Maybe conduct a retest for them ahead of the counselling, which can be pushed by about 10 days. Perhaps these are solutions. We don't need to wait for the courts. We just need to wait for the evidence, get this evidence out and do it in a transparent manner. People want transparency because that underlines and perhaps underscores trust and belief, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very, very much. We're going to take a very short break. When we come back, we're in conversation with Mr. Ram Madhav.
இப்போலாம் ஒன்றும் ஆகலைங்க, எல்லாமே சாப்பிட்டாங்கங்க. வேலைக்கு போகிறவங்களும் சாப்பிட்டு போனாங்க, வீட்டில் இருக்கிறவங்களும் சாப்பிட்டாங்க, ஒன்றும் ஆகலைங்க.
எவ்வளோ வருஷமாக விற்றுட்ருக்காங்க?
1 வருஷமாக விற்றுட்ருக்காங்க.
3 வருஷமா?
1
வருஷமாக விற்றுட்ருக்காங்க. இதே இடத்துல உங்கள் வீட்டில் தான்?
வீட்டில் விற்கிறதில்ல, காட்டை பக்கம் விற்றுட்டு வந்து வீட்டில் இருப்பாங்க.
இங்கே விற்றுட்ருப்பாங்களா?
இங்கெல்லாம் விற்க மாட்டாங்க.
இது போலீஸ்க்குலாம் தெரியுமா?
என் மாமன் போய் சரண்டர் ஆகிட்டான்
எப்போ?
நேற்றுக்கே இதுமாரி ஆணிச்சு அவங்க பிள்ளை போயிட்டான் சார்.
இல்லை, இதுக்கு முன்னாடி ஒரு வருஷமாக விற்கிற போது போலீஸ்க்கு மாட்டிருக்காங்களா? போலீஸ்க்கு தெரியுமா உங்கள் பையன் விற்கிறது?
அது எனக்கு தெரியாது, என்கிட்ட சொல்கிறேன். அங்கேயே நடந்துக்குதுங்க, காசு நடத்துல அவங்க என்ன பண்ணாங்கன்னு தெரியல.
So she is the mother of one suspect who was arrested, who was carrying 200 liters of illegal arrack, and people here say that the mother herself admits that for the last 1 year he's been selling illicit liquor, and this time also while he was selling it's just that some poison was mixed. That's the word that's coming in. Her son was arrested yesterday, and they stay in the same locality. Many of them have lost their loved ones. She, for instance, has lost her brother and sister and brother-in-law, and many say that I have in fact questioned the mother, saying that had he not sold illicit liquor, then the entire community could have lived a better life, because every house here in this locality is impacted. The breadwinner of most of the residents have died because of the consumption of illicit liquor, and many more are currently in critical condition in hospital. And the mother of the person who in fact the mother of the person who was arrested yesterday says that her son has been selling illicit liquor for the last 1 year. That's the word that's coming in. Even as the police have turned a blind eye, the state government continues to maintain that had they known that there is sale of illicit liquor in Kalakurchi, they would have stopped the sale and production. However, the picture here is completely different from what the state government says. In this particular lane, at least
Namaste, Jai Hind, and we are in conversation with somebody I always look forward to having a chat with. And this time he's come to our studio for this very special endeavor, a very podcast format of the right perspective. Ram Madhavji, namaste.
Namaskar.
Let me first ask, and let's take the bull by the horns. Is all well between the RSS and the BJP?
You see, RSS BJP is a fodder for all of you, the relationship.
Especially after what happened.
And certain events, certain statements have given a lot of fodder to the media. But let me tell you, the relationship is always on the same, very even footing. We realize, we know that it's a family. In a family, people will have divergent roles. Occasionally divergent views also, but that doesn't mean there is disharmony. We take necessary care to ensure that it doesn't lead to disharmony, lead to any major friction or anything. But we accept the reality that occasionally there can be a little bit of divergence here and there.
3 statements I want your point of view on. One is Nadda ji saying, "Hum Sangh ke bina saksham hai." And this was happening around the peak of the elections. Did that send a kind of a message to the RSS, or was that just a manifestation of perhaps all is not well at the ground level in terms of coordination?
I read the full interview. It was subsequently published in that newspaper. I read the verbatim text of it. He definitely didn't mean it. Maybe the choice of words, the way it was articulated, could have led to an impression that as though he was saying we don't want RSS anymore. I'm sure he did not mean it. Nevertheless, I would only add that when such confusion arises from a statement that we make, I also have been in the public life for many years. I know sometimes what we say can lead to some kind of misunderstanding or
you've been at the wrong end of it quite often.
So ideally, we should clarify it by evening and then try and put it to rest. But otherwise, what he probably meant was the general position that we take, organizational position, that RSS is not a political body. We are not there to, jump into elections to support BJP or a political party and all that. I recall a very interesting, incident. We all know the controversy over Sri Advaniji's, one noting that he made at the mausoleum of Jinnah when he visited Pakistan in 2005. It became a huge controversy. George Fernandez came to RSS office. I was the spokesperson of the RSS at that time. He came to the RSS office to meet with our leaders. He said something interesting. See, we politicians sometimes make a statement in the morning. Looking at certain political objective, we make a statement. Sometimes that statement can become a controversy by afternoon. Then by evening, what we generally do is we simply say that, no, I was misquoted, quoted out of context. I will simply blame you, media.
Correct.
The idea is that, okay, having achieved my political objective, let me put the controversy to rest.
The opposition has been gunning at the Prime Minister saying, you never spoke about Manipur, you never went to Manipur, you've been quiet about Manipur. And then the Sarsang Chalak, he speaks, Mohanji Bhagwat speaks, and he says, 1 year you've not resolved Manipur. That perhaps when you see it in conjunction with what Mr. Nadda said, perhaps amplified the whole aspect that there is a wedge and there is a difference or a divergence. How would you see it? Because you've written a piece saying that perhaps Mohanji Bhagwat has been misread.
Misunderstood because of the timing of that statement probably. It came at a very crucial time and prone to interpretations. That was the kind of situation. At that time that statement came out. But let me remind your viewers that the RSS has been raising this issue of peace in Manipur from time to time in the last 1 year. There was a resolution some 6 months ago, highlighting the challenge there, and there should be proactive, steps taken to resolve that conflict. So from time to time, the RSS has been raising concern over the situation in Manipur. We all know that Manipur is a border state, an important state, sensitive state, and a conflict like this to continue for more than a year is not good for overall integrity of the country. From that context only, Bhagwatji reiterated that sentiment which RSS has been raising from time to time. And he only said that, it has already been a year or so. We should give utmost priority to resolve it. Normal circumstances, that is not at all a controversial statement. There is nothing in it to see it as a controversy. But, timing and the kind of situation in which that statement came probably led to some people misinterpret it as though he was criticizing the government. Not at all. It was a general observation.
But let me ask you, push you a little on Manipur, because you've also worked in the Northeast. You understand the dynamics there. Is there a difference in the political view and what's happening socially or sociologically on ground? Is there a problem there? And can this be resolved? Because about 5-6 years, yes, Manipur, there used to be disruptions in the past which used to be blanked out to the national media. But under the Prime Minister or Modi Sarkar between 2014 to 2020, till this all flared up, 22, it was largely peaceful. There was a certain level of peace. A High Court order, can it so disrupt the peace there, or is there a greater dynamic?
The situation in Manipur today, meaning the conflict between two communities, the Meiteis on one side and the Kukis on the other side, is not new to that state. You mentioned about peace in the last 10 years, which even Bhagwatji referred to in his speech.
Correct.
There has been a relatively calm, quiet situation in that state for the last 10 years. When he said it, was he not giving credit to the government?
Yes.
He was saying that you could keep that state peaceful for 10 years. Which is a fact, because when we established our government for the first time in 2017, there was an ongoing standoff between Meiteis and Kukis. There was a blockade.
Yeah.
There was a serious friction. But we resolved it in 6 weeks. Just 6 weeks we resolved that crisis. Both communities got together and the situation was brought back to normalcy. That normalcy remained for 8 years. A flare-up happened. I don't want to go into the reasons. I'm aware of what happened, but let's not go into that. But then we have to quickly address that conflict, because those areas are prone to such conflicts. So there needs to be certain proactive engagement with both communities and try and resolve it. That's all what even Bhagwat ji meant. And you asked, can it be done? I would say it should be done. It's not the question of can. It should be done because it's our country. It's a sensitive state. You can't let it simmer like that.
But is there international interference in Manipur?
When such crises happen in any border state, there could be some vested interest. Nobody denies it. But we can't make that an excuse to allow it to linger on. I recall when people tell me that international conspiracy and all that, I recall what Indira Gandhi used to say every time. If somebody criticized her about some border situation, she would say it's all international conspiracy. There will be forces. Nobody denies it. But can that be an excuse?
There's another thing Mohanji Bhagwat said. A sevak must never be arrogant. This was also directly seen as a message to Prime Minister Narendra Modi because he's also been a lifetime pracharak for a long time before he moved into the BJP and into the political arena. Was this message to him? Was there something about this entire aspect of the BJP has become too arrogant, and that arrogance perhaps resulted in the story of slipping down from 303 to 240?
I have been in the RSS for 50 plus years now. This statement that a Swayam Sevak, not Sevak, a Swayam Sevak should not have arrogant, ahankar. The word used, ahankar.
Yeah, ahankar.
I have heard as a child, 5-year-old child. It's an integral message of RSS that when you serve the country, serve it with nishkam bhav. Don't expect anything that I am doing it, so I should get rewarded for it. That's the basic value or character moral character that RSS tries to build in every Swayam Sevak. So to your question, is it for Prime Minister Modi ji? I would say no. It is for 5 million Swayam Sevaks across the country, or for that matter, 1.4 billion Indians. We serve the country without having any ahankara. It's a that's why I said very ordinary statement, which every RSS chief has said in the past. If we want to build a good Swayam Sevak, we have to tell him certain things. Not everything should be, interpreted as though it is being said only for one person, namely the Prime Minister or somebody in the party. No, it is a general observation.
So then let me ask you, what is your observation of what went wrong in UP, Haryana, in Maharashtra?
Like any other Swayam Sevak, I am also disappointed with the kind of outcome. And especially, certain things are very sentimental. You don't expect this kind of a performance in Faizabad or Ayodhya seat. Those things really cause a little, disappointment, you call it, or, some pain, you call it. It happens. Why it happened? Maybe it needs to be analyzed politically by the political party. But I would only probably think that the kind of political arrangement that the opposition could work out in that state, namely the Samajwadi Party and Congress Party coming together, and they were able to create some kind of a social engineering in that state, that has resulted in that kind of a mandate in UP. I'm not just talking about Ayodhya, but generally in UP. Look at Bihar, where BJP has succeeded in creating their social engineering, with Nitish Kumar on its side, with Chirag Paswan on its side, Jitan Ram Manjhi on its side. The necessary social engineering was in BJP's favor. It almost swept the state. I would, very simplistically speaking, I would say it's a result of certain social engineering resulted out of the political alignments that has led to this kind of outcome. I put it that way.
But that's UP. What about Maharashtra?
Oh, similar situation. No? Maharashtra also, the kind of political arrangements that the opposition could work out probably went against the formation of the BJP.
Is it a cause for worry if you see in the elections? And let's bring in another aspect, two important aspects. One is with respect to Jammu and Kashmir, and more importantly, extremist elements. So if people like Amritpal Singh, Beyant Singh's son, get elected in Punjab, and Engineer Rashid gets elected and defeats Umar Abdullah in Baramulla, is there a worrying trend? And the kind of activity or renewed activity in the Jammu region that we are seeing with the terrorist activity and the clear shift of the theatre of action, Are we looking at some challenging times in Jammu and Kashmir? How do you read the situation there?
About the first part
that
of it,
comes historically on at the back of some phenomenal voter turnout, especially in the Kashmir Valley. Jammu had already always turned good numbers in terms of voter turnout, but in the Kashmir Valley also we saw 40-45% voter turnout. So soon after that, for this to happen, how would you read it?
It has to be seen from two different prisms. First, the mandate given to these 2-3 leaders who are known separatist leaders. They are known. Like Mr. Amritpal Singh is in jail, so is Engineer Rashid in jail. Even Bian Singh's son has his own loyalty to the Khalistan cause. So those leaders getting the mandate of the people somewhere sends a message that we have to be alert to the reality that there is a constituency which still believes in this kind of propaganda. Does it mean everybody is like that? No. They had the mandate needed to win that seat. To that extent, whatever support base is there, that should be watched carefully. There some work has to happen through us also. Probably social organizations have to do, political parties also have to do. But the silver lining part of it is, those who stand for a separatist cause also, when they come to parliament tomorrow, they have to take their oath on the Indian Constitution. Meaning, I will protect, preserve the unity and integrity of this country. That is the silver lining of it. An avowed separatist willing to join the political process of the country and taking oath in the name of the Constitution is in a way a good thing. Now we have to build on that. We have to try and end their separatist rhetoric, you call it, separatist arguments, you call it. About Kashmir, I want to add something very important here. We always talk about this percentage of voting, which is very significant, very important. But what happened this time was, even someone like Mirwais, the most respected separatist voice in the valley, openly gave a statement before elections that I'm not against elections, I'm not against people of Kashmir going and voting.
Co-powered by
Right, because of consuming illicit liquor, and these children have lost both their father and their mother. A very, very tragic incident. They are devastated, and this is the mother of the mother of the lady who died. Enna achu amma?
எனக்கு கள்ளச்சாராயம் விற்கிறாங்க. எங்கள் மருமகன் குடிப்பான். இதோட கை இல்லை எங்கள் மருமகனுக்கு, பீஸ் கை மட்டும்தான். அவன் பெயிண்டிங் இப்போ அடிக்க போகிறான், கை குடையும் பழகுது. அப்போ அவன் குடிப்பான், சாராயம் வாங்கி குடிச்சிருக்கிறான். குடிச்சிட்டு கொஞ்சம் கிளாஸில் வச்சுட்டு வெளியே போயிட்டு வந்து இப்போ குடிக்கலான்னு வச்சுட்டு வந்துக்கிறான். என் மவ தண்ணியாக கட்டினு எடுத்து குடிச்சிட்டேன். இந்த என்னம்மா அது வாமித்துறாங்க, வவுறு வலி இல்லை, இந்த வலி சரியாகிறதுக்கோசரம் அதை குடிச்சிட்டேன். அதை குடிச்சிட்டேன். எனக்கு ஃபோன் வந்துச்சு, நான் வந்தேன். மருமகனை பார்த்தா மருமகன் இல்லை, ஆஸ்பத்திரி கொண்டு போயிட்டாங்க. அப்புறம் என் பொண்ணுக்கு என்ன கேட்டேன்ம்மா, எனக்கு கண்ணு தெரியலம்மா, எனக்கு கண்ணு தெரியல, என்னையெல்லாம் முடியலம்மா, எனக்கு கண்ணு தெரியலம்மா. நான் உடனே ஆட்டோ பிடிச்சி கொண்டு போனேன். அங்கே போய் 1 மணி நேரம் தான் வச்சுருந்தேன். முடியாதுன்ட்டாங்க, முடிஞ்சிருச்சுன்ட்டாங்க. ஒன்றுமே கவனிக்கல ஆஸ்பத்திரியில். சும்மா போனால் சேர்த்துருக்குதே, ஒரு மாத்திரை மருந்து என்ன இல்லை, வாயில் ஒன்று வச்சாங்க, அப்புறம் குளுக்கோஸ் சேர்த்துனாங்க. இது மட்டும்தான் அங்கே இருக்கிற ஜனங்க இத்தனை பேர்த்துக்கு இதுதான் செஞ்சாங்க. ஒரு என்ன பார்க்கணும், அம்மா டாக்டரு போலீஸ் இருந்து என்னத்துக்கு எல்லாத்தையும் தான் சாவடிச்சு அனுப்பிவிட்டாங்க. அப்புறம் எது கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஸ்பத்திரி, இன்றைக்கி அவன் சாராயம் விற்றவன் இன்றைக்கி செயலில் இருக்கிறான். அவன் லொக்கமாக பணத்தை கொடுத்துட்டு வெளியே வந்துடுவான். இப்போ நாங்கள் புளிவை இப்போ வாரி கொடுத்துட்டு இந்த புளிவில் வச்சுக்கிட்டு நீங்கள் எப்படி காப்பாற்ற வயசானோம் அப்போ?
So she's saying that her son-in-law used to consume illicit liquor. Her daughter was in fact not well. She had stomach pain, and when they kept a glass, when the husband kept the glass and left, she thought it's the medicine and she consumed it by accident, and then initially she received a call from her daughter who said that she's not able to see, and then they rushed her. The son-in-law was nowhere to be found, so she rushed her, and 1 hour after she was hospitalized, they declared dead. They declared that her daughter had passed away, and she says that the hospital didn't do much. There was just an oxygen mask, and there was glucose that was given to her. Nothing much was done, and her daughter could have been saved, and she just consumed a glass of illicit liquor. She thought it's the medicine that's been kept for her because she was...
This is CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Hello and welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. The NEET controversy continues to rage across the country. The government has now appointed a high-level committee which will probe the irregularities in the conduct of NEET. But we still do not have any further details of who's going to be part of this committee, what the timelines of this committee are going to be, and because for the retest, as far as the 1,560-odd students who got grace marks is concerned, that retest is going to happen this Sunday. And then counselling for all the qualified students, which runs into lakhs, that begins next Sunday. And this committee is yet to hit the ground running. Also, there is no relief by way of the courts that's coming for these students because the next hearing is on the 8th of July, by which time you would have had a little more than a week of NEET counselling already completed. Meanwhile, today the Congress party took out a nationwide protest, and while